How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado. And listen, as a Colorado native, as somebody who loves Denver and plans on living here for a long time, but also someone who has knocked Denver for some of its inefficiencies and weaknesses, we're here today to talk about 9 massive projects that are truly going to reestablish what Denver, Colorado is. Over $20 billion in investments into this town that at least I am very excited for. We're going to talk about them starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. Listen, there are 2 things we do here. One, we talk all things eating, living, breathing, experiencing the Denver Metro and Colorado Front Range. And as a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors, we're helping people like you move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, just know that I'm always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails there when and if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is 9 massive projects changing Denver forever. We're talking about Denver's $20 billion transformation. All right, so as I mentioned, growing up in Denver as a kid in the 80s, downtown Denver really wasn't much. You really didn't go there. There wasn't a whole lot happening in Denver. Then we got the Colorado Rockies. They built lower downtown, or Lodo, around Coors Field, and Denver started to develop. And certainly we've had some really bright days, some great growth. Over the last several years, especially going into the pandemic, some of the roughest years Denver had seen in decades occurred. And so there has been this knock on Denver that the city's best days are behind it, that it's not the great old west town that it once was. And so today I want to talk about these projects that are occurring downtown that, yes, should lead and will lead to more growth and more progress. And that's not something that natives necessarily or everybody wants to hear, but in my opinion, something that's going to be very good for Denver for specific reasons. Among them, and I'll get into this list very quickly, is the fact that Denver is constantly said to not have an identity. When you see Denver, it's just kind of another city. It's got restaurants, it's got shops, it's got some tall buildings, but it doesn't really have the character. You don't go down into Denver and feel like you're in the Old West or you're in any type of mountain town, even though we're not in the mountains. So adding elements that will give Denver more character is, in my opinion, beneficial. And all of these projects really do that. At least many of the ones that are downtown, because they provide certain factors such as enhanced walkability, more to do, some green space to add some character to the town in areas that right now are nothing but concrete. So in my opinion, this is going to be something that's going to move Denver in a very positive direction. It's going to take a while. We're talking about projects, some of which could extend 10 years from now, but overall, extremely beneficial for the city. So the first project we're going to talk about is the River Mile development. This is a 62-acre city within the city. It's meant to replace Elitch Gardens and the surrounding parking lot. So Elitch Gardens runs along the South Platte. It's right by Ball Arena, where the Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche play. And right now, I mean, listen, a lot of people love Elitch's. It's obviously a very busy theme park during the summer, but during the winter, it's a wasteland. And also, you have nothing but these massive parking lots, acres and acres of parking lots all around Ball Arena. So what you have is a 15 million square foot development. It's going to include, in theory, 8,000 residential units. That's market and affordable homes. You're going to have high density office towers. It's designed to be car light. It's designed to focus attention on the South Platte River as its main street. And that really creates this river walkability that Denver doesn't have, that a lot of towns rely on. Denver doesn't. The cost is estimated to be between $7 to $10 billion when all things are done. It's primarily privately funded by Reisner's River Mile LLC, though the city is going to obviously provide some tax increment financing for the massive infrastructure. You've got to do some river restoration. They got to get the civil engineers, Army Corps of Engineers in. They're going to dig out the South Platte River because they want areas for people to be able to kayak and paddleboard in. And again, you have to have the engineers to come in, sign off on that. But this will connect downtown to the river, which as of now has been blocked by Elitch's for decades. Elitch's used to be in North Denver, which is called the Highlands now, but it was in North Denver. Now being downtown, it's really just drawn that divide. So you have that benefit that it effectively moves the center of Denver further west along the water line. Should have fantastic views. Now the construction is currently in the infrastructure and remediation phase. That means soil and river work has to be done. I mean, do not expect the Elitch's roller coasters to disappear anytime soon. We're talking about multiple years from now, probably at least 2028 to 2029 before that happens.
The River Mile is a future major downtown neighborhood on the 62 acres that now houses an amusement park. Are looking forward to probably a 25-year build out, which will be what we think is an exciting addition to the Denver area.
Next up, and I'm going to tell you one that I am very excited about, even though I get a lot of hate for saying I can't wait for a retractable dome, but that is the new Denver Broncos Stadium in the Burnham Yard. So right now, Empower Field, the Broncos football stadium, is just west of downtown. It's not in downtown, it's just across I-25. In an area that there's not a whole lot of walkability, there's not a whole lot to do after the game. It's not very convenient to leave the stadium and get right into downtown. There's a bit of a process there. So what this is a retractable roof, state-of-the-art stadium on a 60-acre area in Burnham Yard, which is the site. It's a former Union Pacific rail yard south of Colfax. So not out of downtown. It's just basically a little southeast of where the current stadium stands. It's going to include a massive entertainment district. They're talking about 5,000 plus housing units and hotels. And they're saying the stadium itself will feature natural grass and latest gen retractable tech. And I'm going to tell you right now, our current owners, the Penner Group, they have spent so much money on Empower Field. They put in a larger screen, they've replaced the sod multiple times. They've done all sorts of stuff to the stadium. Over $100 million in investment to the current stadium. I can't imagine how fantastic this new one is going to be. Making it even better for the city, the Walter Penner Group is investing their own $4 billion plus into this project. They're paying for the stadium, they're paying for the land. But, I mean, let's be very clear, the disruptor to this is that the city and state will need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on road realignments, utility, infrastructure, things of that nature. Do I think the city will more than make up for that with income from this new area and taxes they'll receive? I do. I think it's one heck of a deal for the city. And a huge benefit is that this really anchors South Downtown, which right now doesn't exist a whole lot. So by moving from their current site, not only do you get this huge infrastructure there in Lincoln Park, but you also get about 100 acres where Empower Field is that can be used for another massive city redevelopment. They could build more housing, they could build more shops, they could do all sorts of stuff. Now again, they talk about this being a 10-year play. This is a longer timeline. They hope to have the stadium open by 2031, so what, we're 5 years out on that. And then when you talk about the development around it, all of this new construction, it's obviously gonna take time. And I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, as a season ticket holder, people are going to say, oh, football's made to be played in the weather. To an extent, yes, but I'm excited. My old butt is ready for a roof for that game, man, against the Patriots a couple weeks ago where it was 0 and snowy and all that stuff. Give me a roof, give me comfort. The beer can be cold, that's fine. Next up, you have the Ball Arena District redevelopment. This is very close to River Mile. It's actually being developed by the same folks now that Kroenke has completely taken over it. So this is converting 55 acres of what is right now just asphalt parking lot into dense urban neighborhoods. So you've got 10 to 12 million square feet of mixed-use space. The centerpiece is going to be this 5-acre signature park for pregame and community events. Should be gorgeous down there. Very important to mention that both the River Mile and the Ball Arena District redevelopment have emphasized green space and knowing that people want to be outside. So a lot of green areas. This is privately funded by Kroenke Sports and Entertainment. They actually took over the River Mile situation as well. So both outfits, Kroenke is developing both of those areas. Kroenke being also the owner of the Colorado Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets. And so the beauty of this is that it's going to eliminate the dead zone between Lodo, lower downtown Denver, and the Aurora campus, which is a huge college campus there. It turns a sports venue into a 365-day-a-year neighborhood and places for people to enjoy. I think it's going to be fantastic for the city. When you combine that with the River District and then eventually the stadium, there's going to be so many things for people to do. Now, the disruption is that the rezoning was approved in early 2025. So groundbreaking for phase 1, which is kind of near Wine Coop downtown, that's expected at some point this year. Now, we've talked a lot about downtown Denver, and I do genuinely think those three projects are going to just, I mean, I think the way Denver looks and the amenities, I think when we're talking about Denver 10, 15 years from now, granted it's not tomorrow, but I think it's going to be one of those cities that people go down to and they're like, man, Denver's a blast. There's just so much to do. There's so many areas to go and explore. And I also think it helps the city spread out. As much as we've grown, you'll have more density, obviously, with more people living there, but with more things to do, people go to more areas. It's just my take. Next up, getting just outside of Denver, we go to Fox Park, which is in Globeville, just north of kind of downtown Denver. And this is a $750 million innovation district on 41 acres. It used to be the site of the old Denver Post building. Now, the guts of this project is going to be the World Trade Center Denver headquarters. There's going to be a 241-key Virgin Hotel, and there's going to be 14 acres of next-gen park space curated by the Denver Botanic Gardens. 14 acres that's going to be taken care of by the Botanical Gardens is fantastic. Really revamping this area. Now, it's a private investment from Vita Fox Park and the Trammell Crow. So $70 million also being invested by public infrastructure bonds towards this area, but should be huge for this area. Now, this is going to be the first gateway project for North Denver. You haven't seen a whole lot there. So it's really shifting Globeville from industrial to white collar and tech. Now, there's a lot of history with Globeville. Certainly listening to what the community is going to say, there's going to be question marks about what's going to happen to the folks who live here, what's going to happen to home prices, affordability, all of those things, something you can pay attention to. But this is a huge project for North Denver and one that's going to be moving forward over the coming years. The World Trade Center delivery is targeted for Q3 in 2026. I mean, it's happening right now. But you can expect, again, with all construction, there's going to be delays. That's just kind of par for the course. Now, some of the more specific infrastructure changes that we're seeing, obviously Globeville being one of them, but the next would be a huge terminal overhaul at Denver International Airport. And when we're talking about this, you have this total renovation of the Jepson terminal. That's geared towards handling 100 million people plus each year. So what they're doing, among other things, is they're relocating the security to level 6. That's been a bit of a change there. They're adding 100 plus new retail and dining spots, and they're streamlining this great hall. They're really redeveloping the way Denver International Airport is going to look. And it's not cheap. You're talking about $2.1 billion plus funded via airport revenue bonds, not general taxes, but $2.1 billion being invested into this airport. And what they're looking to do is they genuinely want to position Denver as one of the top 5 global hubs. Not just a big airport as far as the United States. They want it to be top 5 in the world. And this increased non-aeronautical revenue, the fact that all this retail will hopefully keep the cost of flights down because the airport makes so much money with its retail spaces. Now, the disruption to an extent has been that these new security checkpoints are opening in phases throughout 2026 and getting into 2027. I have not been there on a nightmare day. So far, our security has been pretty smooth, again, in my visits, but that will continue to process as they continue these renovations. And if it's anything like any other airport renovation that you have ever experienced, I mean, I remember the one at LaGuardia in New York just taking forever. Plan on this one taking a bit. Next up, a couple that really involve transportation and could be, I think, again, a huge benefit to the city. First, you have the Colfax Bus Rapid Transit system. So this is a high-speed bus transit with center running lanes from Broadway to I-225. So it's going to help along with Colfax. Now, the construction on this has been a pain in the butt with kind of all the road work that they have to do to get ready for this. But the guts of this is that you have 28 stations and you have buses running every 4 to 5 minutes. They're putting about $300 million plus into this project. You've got $150 million coming from the FTA, which federal. You've got $55 million coming from Elevate Denver bonds, and then the rest is coming from Aurora and Denver local funds. So obviously, some taxpayer money going into that. No hiding that. At least our taxes are getting spent on something we can identify. Now, the benefit or the changes that we're looking for is this is estimated to cut commute times by 15 to 20 minutes. And what they're hoping is this will trigger a massive wave of growth along Colfax. And Colfax has long been one of those streets with the worst reputations in all of Denver. And the reason for it is pretty simple, I'll explain quickly, is that prior to highways, prior to I-25 and I-70, Colfax was the big east-west transit for all of Denver. So in the early years of automobiles and the 40s and 50s, obviously automobiles didn't come out in the 40s, but as you get into the 30s, 40s, 50s, as Denver starts to grow, Colfax is just this huge thoroughfare. There are people everywhere, there's shops everywhere. Once the highways opened and people stopped using Colfax, it just became kind of a left behind, forgotten place. And so there's a lot of areas of Colfax that have the best restaurants and bars and amenities you could possibly find, music halls. But there's also a lot of sketchy places to Colfax. And what they're hoping is that this will really revitalize and bring in a wave of new growth for Colfax, finally. Now, construction is currently heavy kind of around segment 1, which is Broadway to Williams. I mean, listen, right now, if you can avoid driving parts of Colfax for your sanity, I encourage it. But overall, this should be a very positive thing for the area. Next up, and again, one that will take time, and that is the Front Range Passenger Rail. So what this is a 160-mile rail line stretching all the way from Pueblo in South Colorado all the way up to Fort Collins via Denver. Obviously, they'll go through Denver. Now, Pueblo, which is where my family is originally from and kind of a time capsule of a town, is located about 2.5 hours. It was easily a 2-hour drive when I was a kid, but about 2.5 hours south of Denver. Fort Collins, not quite that far of a drive up north, maybe an hour and a half. Again, depending on traffic, you can get there quicker at times. But this light rail, one, it's using existing freight tracks with some upgrades, and that will allow them to move passengers at 79 plus miles per hour. Huge advantage. So the hope is that then you can have people who live, in southern parts of Colorado or people up in Fort Collins who will be able to visit Denver more often, but also it will allow people to transit to any of these communities for work faster than using the highway, and hopefully limiting some of that traffic. The money for this is relying on a November 2026 ballot measure. It's a 0.5% sales tax. 80% federal match is available if passed. So this project is not necessarily guaranteed. It has to pass a bill. We'll see how that goes. I do feel as though eventually it will get done. I think it has enough popularity there. And really, this is looking to be the I-25 relief valve, where right now you just have a lot of traffic on I-25, and if people can instead jump on a train that is not going 40 miles an hour, I mean a train that is moving, that really should help. So if the tax passes in 2026, service could start in phases by 2029, 2030. This will be one that I keep you updated on. A couple more, earlier in the video we were talking about walkability downtown. One that they were hoping to improve on again is the 16th Street Mall rebuild. Listen, 16th Street Mall is a cool idea. Again, it's a walking mall downtown. 16th Street is blocked off for pedestrian traffic only and shuttle buses going back and forth. But there's no private transit going on 16th Street. But over the years, it's also become just a bastion of homeless people and just an area that people haven't wanted to go. You have a lot of dilapidated places, empty storefronts, just hasn't been great. So Denver is putting $175 million into this main pedestrian corridor. And the idea is that these granite pavers are going to be replaced with durable surfaces. That you're going to have 200 plus new trees and center running shuttles. Instead of those being shifted to the side, they'll be more in the middle. You've got $150 million coming from the city, RTD, and Downtown Denver partnership, so it's being split a bit. And again, the hope is that this revitalizes the retail core. It's now officially open as of late 2025, but they're talking about the final features and everything being in place by early 2026. This will be one of all this list. This is one that we'll see the results of sooner than the others, obviously. If we get more retail, if people are going downtown to visit 16th Street Mall, and let's be real, a lot of this is going to involve how well managing this area is enforced? Are we going to have law enforcement presence? Are we going to have a lot of homeless people? And again, I'm not trying to sound heartless when I say this, but nobody wants it. I'm not trying to take my kids down to 16th Street Mall if as I'm walking down the street with my daughter, we're accosted by, a bunch of homeless people wrapped in blankets. Again, I'm not heartless. That's just the reality of it. We'll see how that changes, and we'll see if businesses return to 16th Street Mall. And the last is the Park Hill Golf Course City Park. This is being a huge transformation of 155 acres of a defunct golf course that is going to be turned into a regional park. And this could really add just a green breath to downtown. So you're talking about trails, sports fields, a dog park, 100 acres of open space. They're going to put about $70 million from the 2025 Vibrant Denver bond into this phase 1 construction. It's going to be, when it's all said and done, it's going to be Denver's 4th largest park. And again, it's going to provide just massive green lungs to Northeast Denver. I think it's going to add a lot of beauty to that area. Right now, the land is open. It's this bare bones, park right now. There's not a lot going on. You're going to have major construction in that area and major amenities going in late 2026. Now, a couple factors that I just want to make sure I cover as far as these developments, because it's not all rain and sunshine. So, at the end of the day, you can't talk about growth without talking about Gordian knots. So the first is the water reality. So as of January 1st, 2026, Denver Water has implemented a new tiered rate system. So growth is no longer free. What this means is there's a requirement that these developments must meet net zero landscape goals. That means like no more Kentucky bluegrass. If these projects don't use 20% less water than traditional builds, they don't get system development changes. There's certain credits, I should say, that they will not receive, which would cost these developers millions of dollars. So water and water rights is going to be a major impact here. The impact at the end of the day is that we are moving closer towards becoming a gray water city where every drop of rain is captured and reused. This is something to really look at. You can't have all this construction without thinking about water and where we're getting it from. So that's going to be huge. The second thing I would consider, obviously, is the traffic friction. We're putting, let's say, 15,000 people into the densest part of the city, and the solution is in theory the 15-minute city. That these projects are designed so that you don't drive. They're designed that you don't have to have a car to get around everywhere. And if the city does not fix some of its RTD and light rail systems, which again has been a struggle all through 2025, these neighborhoods are going to become expensive. They're going to become kind of gridlocked if people can't get around to them. So that will be important to keep an eye on. As far as infrastructure stress, I-25 at the 23rd Avenue Spear bottleneck is already at 110% capacity. When you get downtown around I-25 and Spear, when you get downtown around I-25 and Alameda and Santa Fe, it can get pretty gnarly. So these projects are going to force a total rethink of how some of these access points and how these exits go. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But at the end of the day, when people say, oh, the old Denver is gone, respectfully, what was the old Denver? Growing up as a kid, it just wasn't anything. Nobody went downtown. And then if we talk about Denver of the 90s, sure, it was fun. Lodo was a blast. But at the end of the day, people want more. We want more walkability. We want more things. So to me, we are becoming a high density, yes, high cost, world-class city. And again, there are parts of that are exciting and parts of that are also very disruptive. So if you're waiting for prices to return to 2019 levels, don't bet on it. I think, again, that home prices and affordability is going to stay level for a while. Certainly Denver is one of the least affordable areas in the nation. Colorado overall has a negative net migration. There's a lot of people who say Denver's best days are behind it. I am of the opinion that if the majority of these projects take place, and it does look as though the vast majority of them are going to move forward, if not all of them, Denver is going to have a very, very bright and exciting future. I'd love to hear your take. As always, know that the number and email on your screen, know that I'm always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there, when and if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was the future of Denver. 9 massive projects changing Denver forever. $20 billion plus in investments. Quite the pretty penny. Until I see you next time, peace.